The dollar's not going to be worth anything, and I don't know how to invest because it's going to collapse because freaking Brazil. Brazil? Seriously?
Okay guys, this is a Dave Ramsey reaction video. The name of this video is called The Truth About the US Dollar Collapsing. Let's wait no more time and let's jump into it. By the way, if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.
Today's question comes from Zach in Alabama. He asks, I'm reading more and more about de-dollarization and countries moving away from the US dollar as their basis of international trade.
I've seen a few articles on that as well, but I don't want to keep pausing it, so.
Will this affect the strength of the dollar, and should I be concerned about how I'm saving and investing as a result of this?
Okay. Number one, Zach, you're spending too much time on the internet.
Oh man, this guy's a trip.
First and foremost, okay? Because you've gotten into the conspiracy theory blanks here. Now,
did he call it a conspiracy theory? I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory, but I think it's a speculative outlook on it. But I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory.
What is really going on? Okay, I'm concerned with how it's going. Let me see. Moving away from the U.S. dollar as their basis of international trade. Let me just tell you, China and Brazil and Russia are the three main players in this.
Okay.
They already don't use the U.S. dollar as their basis of international trade. Russia has its own currency, so does China, and so does Brazil. And there's a conversion rate between that currency and the U.S. dollar. So many dollars equals so many yen. Okay? And, when you go to Mexico, a whole bunch of pesos equals a dollar, right? Like 20 of them. So that's, you got a conversion rate from one currency to another. What these particular, the three largest countries, and they're talking about bringing in some of the oil countries as well in the Middle East, are doing is they're trying to come up with one currency that they all use.
Okay.
And then that would be in international trade converted back and forth to dollars. Much like Europe did with the euro, which, by the way, kind of didn't work. When we had this exact same crap when France did away with their own currency. The Brexit was the big deal, whether the UK was going to get involved or not. And the euro was traded all over Europe, and they did away with their basic currency. And now the U.S. is just going to it's a one world currency. It's the end times of
this dude's antics is funny.
Revelation. And this is what comes up, right? Okay. But all it is these countries, if they did all agree to use one currency, it'd be much like when Europe went to the euro, and then that's going to exchange for the dollar back and forth. Are those countries going to be able to devalue the dollar by doing that? No. Because while they do take up a lot of land mass, they do not take up a lot of the gross domestic product of the world.
Valid point. We are the #1 consumers still.
The United States still is the vast majority of the gross domestic product of the world. Still. China is big. Russia is basically horrible. And Brazil is a failed economy like times 10 and is tiny as far as economics go. In other words, like I suspect, I haven't looked it up, but I suspect Texas has a higher GDP than Brazil.
I don't know about that. He might be reaching for that one. I might have to fact check that one.
As an example.
Let me ask Chat.
I'm not kidding. I haven't looked it up, but I bet you that's true. Look it up. I know it's got a higher GDP than Egypt because I looked that up one time. I know it's got a higher GDP than Sweden and about 5 of the other countries that were talking about natural gas crap a few years ago, because I looked that one up, and that was going to be the end of the world, and they were going to take over. But they're tiny but little countries. And so when you put them all together, they don't have the muscle to take down the dollar.
Wait a minute, you guys. So the GDP of Brazil is 1.6 trillion as of 2021, and let's go for Texas. Remember that number. Oh snap! This dude's right. For the GDP of Texas is 2.4 trillion. Okay, Dave, spitting facts. Okay.
Mathematically. It's arithmetic. You know, you can't, they just don't have it. Now, what they are going to do, if they all do put it together, it's not a de-dollarization. It's not doing away with the dollar. They've created their own currency. They're still going to have to trade with the 800-pound gorilla, which be us. Okay? And you're going to have to trade with us.
I will admit he is making some valid points. I will have to say that he is making some valid points.
Us in dollars.
But calling it a conspiracy theory, I think that's a little bit far left.
So you're going to, whatever little currency you create over there in your little fantasy world that you live in, you're still going to have to trade it for dollars. So it's not going to take down, the dollar's not going to be worth anything, and I don't know how to invest because it's going to collapse.
All right, I'm going to put my 2 cents into it a little bit. I personally think that as far as the power of the dollar, I really think it really boils down to more like the deficit and the amount of debt we have and our ability to pay off the debt as well. I think that plays a big role. I do think that the more countries that do not use the dollar, or they don't see the dollar as, you know, the main currency, I definitely think that can weaken the buying power of the dollar and the dominance altogether. Now, will it deteriorate rapidly and something like that? No, I don't think so. But I do think the credibility of the dollar, if you factor into other things like the amount that goes into the amount that goes into circulation, the amount of debt that we had the issue with the debt ceiling, our ability to pay off debt, all of these things can kind of factor into the weakening of the dollar. And this kind of stuff, he's not really mentioning it, so I think it's a combination of things, and those things can contribute to the dollar, you know, weakening. And typically I've heard, I have to still do some research, that every about 100 or so years, like, a different currency dominates. But let's continue.
Because freaking Brazil? Seriously?
Hold up. Uh-oh, his antics. We can't miss that one.
Not going to be worth it.
Wait, hold on. We want to catch this.
And you're going to have to trade with us in dollars. So you're going to, whatever little currency you create over there in your little fantasy world that you live in, you're still going to have to trade
so disrespectful
it for dollars. So it's not going to take down, the dollar's not going to be worth anything, and I don't know how to invest because it's going to collapse because freaking Brazil. Seriously? Brazil? I mean, when you look at the math, it's humorous. I mean, and Russia we always think of as like, you know, in the Rocky movies or something, like they're going to come bomb the United.
But honestly, as far as in regarding investing, I mean, the dollar, I really don't think that has a major concern of like how you would change. I wouldn't change my investing strategy or anything like that. Let's go.
The states or whatever and all this stuff. But they're, when you look at their, even though it's a huge landmass, their economic production is pitiful. It's pitiful because communism sucks. And so it just doesn't create a lot of gross domestic product.
Look like that's a personal bias there because he lived in the United States, which is capitalism, but I'll let that go.
But, you know, and so really when you get into it, that's what you're going to find. So am I worried about this? Absolutely not. Absolutely zero.
Should you
because
be
Russia is pitiful. China has no labor force. Their labor force is aging out because they stopped having babies legally. You know, and so they have no young labor force coming on. So about several economists are predicting that their economy is really going to be in deep doo-doo in 20 years because there's going to be nobody to work, nobody to do the work. And so all the stuff that China's creating right now, they're not going to have anybody to do it. And so
this is a lot of just fear-mongering, and it gets clicks and views. And so the media loves
it gets a lot of clicks and views.
But should you be concerned about how you're saving and investing?
Nope.
No. I wouldn't change it.
I would agree to that too. Nope, wouldn't change my investing strategy at all.
Nope.
I wouldn't bet against America. Long term, it's a bad move.
And it's not arrogance. It's math. It's not like I'm blinded by the flag. or patriotism. That's not it. America does some stupid butt stuff sometimes, but even when we do it on scale. I mean, it's like, it's like, come on, man. Oh, so no. Listen, I'm old and I'm getting tired. Because when I first started, there was like a conspiracy theory that the world was.
You've seen them all at this point.
There's a guy. Here's one. I was telling a friend of mine. A friend of mine was asking me about this the other day, and I said, my answer to him was, I read a book in 1982 called Bankruptcy 1984. It was predicting the end of the U.S. economy in 1984. It was written by an economist that was brilliant named Peter Grace. He was in charge of the Grace Commission in the Reagan administration. And
I might have to skip some of this point because he's kind of like a little talking off the key points, but I might edit this part out, but we'll see.
They were studying the increasing national debt and that the national debt was going to cause the economy to collapse, which I think the national debt's stupid and out of control, okay? But this guy said it's going to hockey stick and the monetary policy is going to turn.
It's gotten much worse since he wrote that book. Way worse.
Turn upside down. We've sucked all the cash out, used it for government stuff, and the economy's got no cash to operate on, and so it's going to collapse in 1984. Apparently wrong. Dang. And then another friend of mine wrote a book called Coming Economic Earthquake. Didn't happen. And then another guy wrote a book talked about the collapse of the economy. And then another guy wrote a book.
Well, then we had Y2K.
There's a lot. Oh, and the Y2K was going to collapse the economy. And then then when the planes hit the towers, the economy was not going to recover because 3,000 people died and 2 towers fell in New York City. So the entire U.S. economy was going to collapse. In San Francisco, that no one knew what it was except venture capitalists has the power to bring it up.
That concludes. It seems like they're done talking about that. They were rambling for some other stuff, but that concludes this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the U.S. dollar and the dollar collapsing. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to my channel.